Right now, you're in your bedroom. The door is shut. The lights are out. Maybe someone lies beside you. Maybe you're alone. It doesn't matter. No one can see you. No one can hear you. As far as the world is concerned, you've disappeared. You've probably never thought of this moment as something that had to be invented. But it was. The privacy wrapped around you right now is one of the youngest luxuries our species has ever created. Younger than farming. Younger than the wheel. Younger than writing. For 290,000 years, the quiet solitude you're experiencing was not rare. It was impossible. And here's what should stop you cold. The people who lived their entire lives without it weren't plagued by the kind of isolation we experience today. We are. So what did life actually look like with zero privacy? In 1992, Oxford anthropologist Robin Dunbar synthesized decades of fieldwork on hunter-gatherer societies across every inhabited continent. His conclusion was striking. The average band lived in near-constant physical closeness. Most members stayed within easy earshot and eyeshot of one another for the bulk of their waking hours. Imagine 15 to 50 people living every moment of their lives inside that intimate space. They slept shoulder to shoulder. They ate from the same fire. They moved, argued, laughed, grieved, and desired within reach of the entire group. There were no walls, no doors, no corners to retreat into. A fight with your partner? 40 people heard it. A sudden illness? Everyone knew before you spoke. A flash of lust or anger or shame? It unfolded in public, with nowhere to hide. This wasn't a hardship reserved for the unlucky. The best hunters, the wisest elders, the most respected leaders, all lived this way. Privacy, as we understand it, simply did not exist. What they built instead was more elegant than walls. They constructed privacy out of shared agreement. In 2014, University of Toronto anthropologist David Sampson studied the Hadza of Tanzania, one of the last groups still living in ways that echo our deep ancestral past. He identified 3 consistent behaviors that functioned as unwritten law. Timing. As night fell and the fires died down, the social rules shifted. Darkness became a mutual understanding. Distance. Slipping 50 or 100 feet into the blackness was accepted without question. In a world without artificial light, that short distance might as well have been another planet. Silence. The most sophisticated rule of all, the agreement not to acknowledge what you saw or heard. Anthropologist Colin Turnbull, who lived with the Mbuti of Central Africa, noted they had no word for privacy. Not because they were primitive, but because the concept was so deeply embedded it needed no name. You simply didn't comment on what you weren't meant to see. Timing, distance, silence. 3 tools, 0 materials. For 290,000 years, this was how humans carved out personal space inside an inescapably social world. Then, roughly 10,000 years ago, everything changed. Humans began to farm. Farming meant staying put. Staying put meant building permanent structures. And walls changed the way humans related to one another. At Çatalhöyük in modern-day Turkey, one of the oldest known farming settlements, archaeologist Ian Hodder found that the rise of private domestic spaces coincided with increased evidence of interpersonal conflict. Walls gave people separation. They also gave them something new to protect. For the first time, space itself became something people could own, and therefore something that could be taken. Even after walls arrived, true privacy remained rare for most people. Medieval European families slept in one room. Inn-travelers shared beds with strangers. Servants slept at the foot of their masters' beds. As late as the 1800s, children routinely slept 3 or 4 to a mattress. That wasn't poverty, it was normal. The private bedroom most of us take for granted only became widespread around 1920. A century ago, less than 1/10% of our species' history. And in that tiny sliver of time, something unprecedented happened. Today, adults in the developed world spend more time physically alone than people in almost any society we know of from the human past. We have achieved more physical privacy than our ancestors could have imagined. Loneliness has become a major public health concern. The World Health Organization calls it a global crisis. Many developed societies have seen rising concerns about depression, anxiety, and social isolation alongside unprecedented levels of privacy and independence. The walls worked. We got exactly what we built them for. What nobody anticipated was that the same walls that protected our privacy could also make isolation easier. Ancient humans solved a problem we usually think only walls can solve. They found ways to be private without becoming isolated. They understood something we often forget. Privacy and separation are not the same thing. A person could step beyond the firelight and disappear into the darkness. Nobody would follow. Nobody would ask questions. But they always knew where the camp was. They always knew who would be there when they returned. Today, many of us have the opposite arrangement. We can close the door. We can lock it. We can sit in a room no one else can enter. And for the first time in human history, millions of people aren't entirely sure who's waiting on the other side. The walls worked. We got the privacy our ancestors never had. The question is whether we forgot to rebuild the camp.